Hello and welcome to this little video of Easter eggs and indeed things you may have missed in my novella Child of Light, a story which is set right at the heart of the Spallucciverse. Now, before I carry on, please, why not give it a little like? Hey, you might even fancy subscribe. I have lots of these little videos crop up from time to time and, you never know, you might just enjoy them. But before I whiffle on for the next few minutes or so, I need to give a big shout out to all the people who helped make this video possible.
Many thanks to Deb Steamgoff, Jacob Matz, Lee Hardy, Sharon Farimond, Kevin Denwood, Beck Pierce, Paul Lewis, Gemma Innes, Charlie and Melissa.
If you would like to hear your name occasionally cried out across the internet, why not consider joining my Patreon book club? I've got numerous tiers and they all start from £1 a month, but some of the higher tiers even get free books. There's links down below or even over on my website aschambers.co.uk. Number 1, the title. So the title is obviously Child of Light. This is referring to the fact that Alec is the son of, spoiler alert, but you've probably read the book already. He is the son of Lucifer, the fallen seraph, who is quite often referred to as the Light. Notice we also have the blade. We also have the cup. Could there be anything going on there? Who knows? But when Dare the Dragon comes out in 2026, there'll be another novella which is going to accompany that called Child of Fire. Now this is going to be about Alec's twin sister, Amanda. And of course, Lucifer's elemental power is fire. So we're using light and fire as two ways of describing that fallen seraph. Number 2, Alec's domestic arrangement. So in Child of Light and Child of Fire, I wanted to explore at the beginning of the books where we find Alec and Amanda. And they both have a very similar sort of setup. They're both being held prisoner, although they don't know it, by a pair of constructs. And we see this comparison, at least you will do when Child of Fire comes out, between how they are enjoying or not enjoying their life. Amanda is reveling in it. She's a spoilt, pampered little girl, whereas Alec is that like moody teenager kicking off against everything. Number 3, cereal. There's a reference very early on to Alec eating cereal out the box. If you've read the Sam Spallucci books, you'll know this is something he does quite a bit. It is his go-to snack. Number 4, cornflakes. That is a fun little reference for me because this is referring to something which somebody said to me years ago. In fact, it was an old ex-girlfriend, well over 30 years ago, who said that boring middle-class suburban people are cornflakes because they look like people from the cereal ads, which I think sort of like sums up quite nicely. But also a little fun fact, that ex-girlfriend went on to become the main sort of inspiration for Caroline Adamson. Number 5, Alec's dream. So as he's at school, Alec falls asleep, has a bit of a snooze at the back of the class. We've all done that. And he has this dream of him and Amanda in the Indus Valley. Lucifer goes on to explain that this is something which hasn't happened but which was supposed to happen. And in Child of Fire, Amanda has exactly the same dream, showing just how linked the two of them are. Number 6, constructs. So obviously it turns out that Alec's parents are constructs, and we see Lucifer show him how to dispatch his mother, so to speak. Couple of points of interest here. First, Lucifer says this is the first time he's ever seen them in the flesh, and this is because this takes place sort of like in the timeline after Lucifer has fled heaven and he's gone and hid in Alec. So it's sort of chronologically after fallen angel. But also the other interesting fact is they don't bump off Alec's father. So who is he and when will he return? Number 7, the shack. So when Lucifer takes Alec away, they go and hide in this rundown shack in nowhere in Scotland. And this is the same shack which is used way back in First Hunt Now, when Marcus and Nightingale take Dave, once he's become a vampire, to go and train him when he first encounters constructs for him to hunt. And we have this reference in First Hunt Now where they're saying that there's been a battle and they know that there's been constructs and something strange. This is actually a reference to the final scene in Child of Light when that battle takes place. Number 8, the doors. So we have Lucifer takes Alec to go and see these two doors. One of what would happen if the convergence happens, and one what happens if the divergence happens. And this is probably the oldest scene as far as writing's concerned in the book. I wrote it when I first started writing the Sam Spallucci books because I knew I was going to have this story surrounding Alec. Wasn't sure how it was going to work out, but I knew I wanted this scene. And this is Lucifer using one of his main powers, like he does with Sam. He takes Sam on these out-of-body experiences, so to speak. And he's doing the same here with Alec to go and look at what could happen either way. Number 9, Angels 101. We have Lucifer give Alec that sort of rundown of angelology, for better of a word, and describes different types of angels. And just like Alec does to Sam in Ghosts from the Past, there's even the reference to thrones being just like Furbies. Number 10, the Abyss. I love the Abyss. She's such a powerful and enigmatic character who's pressing all those buttons in the background for everyone. I won't go into too much detail about that because you've got to keep asking why is she doing this. But here we have her in a threefold form of child, woman, and crone. She's been referred to before in Fury of the Fallen, but we've only ever actually come across her in the Bobby Normal stories and the short story Family Reunion when the little potency is taken back to her. Here she shows Lucifer a glimpse of the love that he and Eloise, Alec's mother, had, which he cannot remember. And it's actually the scene set just before the scene where Sam encounters him in Troubled Souls, where he's blasting the hell out of the constructs. She also says that everything she shows them or tells them is the truth. She does not need to lie, and this is a recurring theme throughout the books from now on with the Abyss. She's so powerful, she's so omniscient, she knows how things are going to happen. She has no need to lie, which gets referred to a few times as that's actually quite terrifying. This character that has so much power that they have no need to lie. They know how things are going to happen, how things are going to pan out, but they still want to manipulate it. Number 11, Egypt and the Children of Cain. So, rather than sending them straight to Indus Valley, no, the Abyss sends Lucifer and Alec to ancient Egypt, and indeed she splits them up, sends them to different parts of wherever it is she sent them in Egypt. And almost immediately Alec encounters a child of Cain, a vampire with constructs. He gets drawn in, he meets Abaddon, and he hears of the 3 tenets: find the Eternals, protect the twins, and await the divergence. Number 12, Tigress. When Alec is taken to eventually meet Abaddon, he is being interrogated at first by 2 vampires, one of whom is referred to as a fiery redhead, and this is indeed Tigress from all my other stories. Now, the readers might say, well, where's Scorpion? They're always together. You've got to remember this is ancient Egypt. This is before the fall of Troy. Long before the fall of Troy. It's before Scorpion was even born. Number 13, Abaddon. Okay, so this is a biggie. This is the first time we actually meet in person one of the major, really major players in the Spallucciverse. You obviously you've got Sam, you've got Cainor, you've got Lucifer, you've got the Abyss, you've got the Children of Cain, you've got Amanda and Alec, you've got Archangel Michael, Abaddon, really, he's central to absolutely everything. In the book of Revelations 9:11, he's referred to as the Angel of the Abyss and the Destroyer. There have been mentions of this character all the way through the Spallucciverse, and he's actually going to be the main linchpin, as it were, when Fallen Angel is published, my magnum opus, in a few years' time. So watch this space for more details on that. The first thing we learn is that he's actually met Alec before at a Kids Week event at All Hallows, which Alec does not remember. And that's because it's happened for Abaddon, but not for Alec. And that gets referred to in Lux Eterna. So I hope you find that one. Number 14, Eloise. After Alec escapes from Abaddon and the Children of Cain, we have another scene which takes place in Fallen Angel, and this is where he encounters his mother, Eloise, for the very first time. Here we see that she is pregnant with him and his sister, but not only this, Alec realizes by sensing the DNA that Abaddon is actually his biological father. So the question is, how's this possible? Because the Abyss has insinuated that Lucifer is his father, but she can't lie. So what's going on here? Does your head hurt? Sorry if it does. You have to keep on reading to find out what's actually going on. Number 15, Jerusalem and the Temple. The next stop on their magical mystery tour is ancient Jerusalem at the time of Solomon, and it's when the Grand Temple is being built. Now this has been referred to in Sam's Spiritual Fury of the Fallen by Asherah and Asmodeus when they both talk to Sam about it. Their opinion of what actually happened was quite different from what went down. Number 16, conservation of energy. Now this might seem like a little throwaway comment between Lucifer and Alec when they talk about, everything is a sealed system. One of those laws of physics. And the question gets asked, well, when God created heaven, what did he use to create it? When heaven was created, there's nothing else there. Surely something had to be destroyed. Can you guess what? Number 17, Asmodeus. So we meet up with Asmodeus, or Asmodeus, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Asmodeus is probably correct, but I've called him Asmodeus all my life, so sorry, I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, and he's his normal pompous self. And obviously he's terrified at first when he sees Lucifer. In Fury of the Fallen, he can't even bring himself to say Lucifer's name. And there's a little jibe from Lucifer about the fact that Asmodeus can't ride a horse yet. And this is a reference to something which is going to happen in Fallen Angel concerning Asmodeus and the powers, which is one of the reasons why Asmodeus hates Dagon and turns him into a genie. Number 18, the potency. I love the potency. It's so cute. Little sociopathic rot from the beginning of time. So yeah, the Fallen aren't the only, metaphysical characters here. The potency is also here in her twin-like form. She hasn't been broken yet. She immediately forms an attachment to Lucifer, and he gives her this great big lollipop, which of course they thank him for. They then go and help Lucifer to create Gog, the first construct that Lucifer has created, and they rather ominously say that he's going to need an army of them at some point. I wonder why. Number 19, Asherah. Asherah turns up full pomp and glory, being the old Queen of Sheba, and obviously she takes a shine to Alec. He's an attractive young lad, but she gets disturbed in her dalliances, as we then have the scene where the potency gets split in two. Asmodeus runs off with one, and Lucifer buries the other half in Megiddo with Gog. Number 20, Arrival in Wellington. The next stop is Wellington, but in Victorian times. Now this is a big crossover with the Nightingale story, Songbird. If you haven't got it yet, I suggest you go out and buy yourself a copy, and you'll be able to get all the little references between. And this is when Knight is still a human, and she is called Esther, and she is the maid of the sadistic vicar at the parish church of All Hallows in Wellington. Number 21, Cuthbert Richmond. Now, Cuthbert Richmond is an ancestor of the archaeologist Robert Richmond, who has been referred to a number of times in the Spallucciverse, and who Sam does actually meet in Lux Eterna. And here we have him saying that he wants to leave Wellington and set up home in Oxfordshire, which is where we actually meet Robert Richmond living in Fallen Angel. Number 22, Doulos. If you've read the little vampire stories, or if you've read Songbird, you'll know that Doulos was the father of Justice and of Nightingale. And here he comes across Alec, and obviously he's excited to find that he is one of the twins. However, this cannot be revealed at this time. It's the wrong time. So Alec works his mojo on him, and he forgets about him. Number 23, the font. Lots going on here. This font eats this sort of like, here's a term, nexus point of the whole universe. Everything seems to revolve around this font. We have its creation by Matthias, who is actually a descendant of Nathan, who was the carver who created the Misericords and Spud. You remember the Misericords have got Tigress and Scorpion in it, and he creates them the little statue as well, which is in All Saints Church. And the font is created using the blood of Lucifer to keep the abyss out of this realm, so she can't use this way in and influence people directly. And this is why we have the acrostic Canor on it, because it is something which Lucifer, has these strong emotions for. Number 24, finally, the conclusion. So, after all these roundabout journeys, Lucifer gets them back to where they started. And when they arrive, they are surprised by this cohort of police who turn up. They're there to get Alec, and it turns out a number of them are constructs, including the chief officer, who it turns out is Alec's father. He's now taken another form. So the question I want to ask yourself is, what form has he taken? Who is he? Are we going to see him again? Well, for that, you might need to keep on reading the Sam books. Anyway, hope you enjoyed those little Easter eggs. Again, please remember, like and subscribe. Websites, aschambers.co.uk, and there's Patreon. There's all sorts. Take care. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye now.